festivals and travels. 1. Talking about holidays, festivals. Frequently asked questions.
What are the special days celebrated in your country? Which is your favorite and why? What do you think is the most important festival in your country? In what way do people celebrate the festival? Do people prepare any special food for the occasion? Which do people prefer, to spend it with family or with friends? How did people celebrate the festival in the past? How has the way been changed and why? Do you think that it is important to have festivals?
Dialogue study. Wang Xiao introduces Li Chen to a foreign friend, Frank Roberts.
Hi, Li Chen. I'd like you to meet my friend, Frank Roberts. He's from Canada, and he's visiting Beijing for a few days.
Hi, Mr. Roberts. Nice to meet you.
Please call me Frank. It's nice to meet you too. What was your name again?
Li Chen. Li is my family name, and Chen is my given name.
Wang Xiao has told me a lot about you. It's nice to finally meet you in person.
Same here. Say, how do you know Wang Xiao?
We do some import-export trade together. I'm a purchaser for a large Canadian department store, and we buy quite a few goods from Wang Xiao's company.
They're one of our biggest customers in Canada. Anyway, I've invited Frank to come to Beijing many times, and now he's finally been able to find time in his busy schedule. Hey, Li Chen, what do you think we should do for lunch? It's almost lunchtime.
Why don't we go to the dumpling restaurant around the corner? It's delicious, cheap, and fast. And we can also introduce Frank to some of our favorite Chinese foods.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's go.
You know, Frank, dumplings are also very special too. During the Spring Festival, most Chinese families will make dumplings.
What's the Spring Festival?
That's probably the most important festival in our country. Some people call it Chinese New Year. It's a celebration marking the end of the old year and the beginning of the new year, according to the lunar calendar.
It's usually held sometime between mid-January to mid-February, depending on the lunar calendar.
So, in addition to dumplings, what else is special about the Chinese New Year?
Most people clean their houses from top to bottom, put decorations, usually red ones, on their doors and in the homes, and eat a lot of good foods.
During the Chinese New Year, it's also important to be with your family and friends, so many people will travel to their parents' home, even if they live very far away.
Yes, and they also pay a lot of visits to their close friends.
It sounds a lot like Christmas. We decorate our homes with Christmas trees, stockings, and colored lights. We eat a lot of good food, and most people spend Christmas time with their families or good friends. Oh, and we also buy Christmas presents for each other.
Chinese families will give red envelopes or hong bao to their children or friends' children. The red envelopes contain money, so it's like giving a present to the children. Also, people buy new clothes and shoes to wear for the new year, so it's also another kind of a present. Many people also like firecrackers and fireworks to celebrate.
Wow! Spring Festival sounds really great. Whoever thought of the idea sure had a good one.
How long has China been celebrating the Spring Festival?
It must be for at least a few centuries.
What was it like in the earlier days? Is it celebrated in a similar way these days?
There are many similarities still, but over time some traditions have disappeared. I think that dumplings have always been a big part of the Spring Festival,
as well as giving money to children and buying new clothes.
and also things like decorating one's home and going back to your parents' home. All of these things have been around for a long time.
So, have there been any changes at all?
Well, nowadays, firecrackers are illegal in most of the cities, so this tradition has changed, and people don't have as much time to stay at home as before, usually because they are too busy with their work.
Some people even prefer to take a holiday instead of going back to their parents' home to spend the Spring Festival. And for some rich families, buying new clothes for the new year isn't very exciting because they buy new clothes all year round.
But many of the main traditions are still kept, right?
Yes, for the majority of Chinese families, they still follow the tradition.
Hey, our dumplings are here. Let's eat. I'm starved.
They smell great, but how can we eat so many of them?
You'd be surprised at how many we can eat.
2. Talking about travels. Frequently asked questions.
Do you like traveling? How often do you travel and why? When do you usually travel? What kind of places are you more interested in and why? What places have you enjoyed visiting and why? What do you normally do when you are in a new place? Which do you prefer, traveling by yourself or with friends, and why? What does traveling mean to you?
Dialogue study. Li Chen is waiting for Wang Xiao. They plan to visit a bookstore and spend some time together.
What time is it? Why is Wang Xiao taking so long to get here?
Li Chen! Sorry I'm so late. I lost track of time and then I got stuck in traffic. Thanks for waiting.
I was just beginning to wonder if you would show up. Anyway, now that you're here, I can stop wondering.
I'm really sorry.
That's all right. Forget about it. Hey, where was that bookstore you wanted to show me?
Follow me. It's just around the corner. I want to look at the travel books if you don't mind. I'm planning a holiday, but I haven't exactly decided where to go. Any suggestions?
What kinds of places have you been to already?
I've almost been to all of the famous mountains in China, except for Shan and of course Mount Everest. You know me, I much prefer climbing a mountain to seeing historic sights. What about you? Do you like traveling?
Well, it depends. I've had some really bad experiences, so I'm really cautious about traveling. On my last trip, I went to Guilin, and it rained the whole time.
That's too bad. When do you usually travel? You've got to remember to try and avoid the rainy season, especially in the south of China.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. Maybe that's why the holiday was advertised at such a low price. I'm not really planning another trip in the near future. I still need to recover from the last one. How often do you travel?
I try to go somewhere new at least once a year. It depends on my finances and my time, of course. And it's really hard to get tickets during the government holidays. But those are the only times I can travel. Anyway, I've been fortunate so far.
Besides the mountain climbing, What places have you enjoyed visiting the most?
I loved Inner Mongolia and the Three Gorges. China has an amazing range of geographical features, not to mention local cultures, dialects, and foods. I just love soaking in the local culture.
Do you always get this excited about going to somewhere new? What do you normally do when you're in a new place?
First of all, I walk along the streets and poke my nose into different markets and busy places. Then I buy a few fruits and try some of the local specialty foods. And if I'm lucky, I'll start a conversation with some of the vendors to try to find out what are the best places to go and visit during my time there. You can get a lot of information that way. And then finally, I will go back to my hotel room and start planning my itinerary.
Do you usually travel by yourself or with friends?
I prefer to travel alone or just with one friend. I really dislike going on package tours. You miss out so much by being in a tour group. Look, here's a book on Umeshan. Maybe I should go there next. Do you want to come along?
No offense, but count me out. I am beginning to realize that I'm much more of a homebody than I thought I was.